Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are gonna talk about in a warrior one shape, how to have the arms overhead with a straight back. I know this sounds very specific. This is actually a question from one of the viewers, and I thought, yeah, it's quite interesting. So let's check out how it could be done. The question was, how to get this particular shape, because there was a lot of teachers that do request it, and then a lot of people just don't know how to get into it. So how? First question is why? I always ask this, why? Why does the spine or why does the back have to be straight in a warrior one? Okay, so let's just rewind. There are a lot of different variations in a warrior one. Let's say with the arms up, okay? Let's just go back to the most eliminate a lot of other arm variations. Okay, let's just say arms up in a warrior one. There are a lot of different variations. Some styles, they don't really care. They let you just arch your back, and some styles, the stance are very different. Some have a much shorter stance, while some other have a much longer stance. And then also the back toes, some styles do require you to point directly out at a 90-degree angle, while others are more flexible in that way. The front and the back foot is aligned heel to inner arch, while other is heel to heel. So again, there are a lot of all these elements that play a role in warrior one. So first of all, I don't really understand why there's just one variation, but then maybe that person who is practicing with that particular teacher is following a very strict, or following just one particular lineage, hence the reason why. So I didn't really ask in details, but then that's my answer. So for warrior one, there are a load of different elements, and also for warrior one, it's actually a very challenging shape to do. It looks very simple. It's very simple. It looks simple, but then it's actually very demanding for the body. Simply because of the back foot. The back foot, the angle of the toes actually determine determine the hips. If your back toes need to be out at a certain degree, then the hips need to have that mobility in order to cooperate. If the hips don't have that mobility to cooperate, to work with those toes, just that your knee's not gonna be very happy, or your body might be turning to a slightly different angle, or it's going to affect the shape of the upper body. And also because our arms are raised up, this requires a lot of shoulder mobility, shoulder flexion. Not a lot of people have that. So I'm just gonna make it more simple. Let's just chop off the bottom part of warrior one, which is the legs. Let's not talk about the legs anymore. Let's just talk about the arms. So the upper body, including the arms. And I think that's easy that way, because this also applies to a lot of different shapes, including the handstand. And you might be like, what? I just asked about warrior one. Why do you always bring back to the handstand? Like, why? What is it about the handstand? Well, that's because in a handstand, your arms are raised up as well. You chop the bottom half of the body off. This is exactly the same as warrior one with arms up, just that we're in a different direction. So, you know what? I'm just gonna do a warrior one stance, just whatever, just easier. But let's kind of eliminate this part, focus on this part. Okay, so if I lift my arms up like so, okay, because most of our shoulders are tight, okay, and the shoulders are linked to the spine, linked to the rib cage, so it's basically this part of the body. This part of the body is generally tight because, the ribs need to be, this part wants to be tight because it needs to, doesn't want to be that mobile, because the rib cage needs to protect a lot of very important organs inside, like the heart and the lungs, right? So if this is too mobile, then chances are it's not going to be that safe. So if it's very solid, then it's going to give those organs a better protection, hence it's tight. And also, daily habits, work on the computer, using the phone, stuff like that, and we do this a lot. So that is why the shoulders are tight. So if you raise your arms up like that, and if the arms need to be pointing up at the sky, chances are, if this is not happening, then the chest is going to move to create the illusion that the arms are straight. And if my teacher just tells me to raise my arms up, here you go. My arms are right up to the sky, right? But then you can see my spine is arching, right? And if I do not arch my back, can you see where my arms are? They're not right up to the sky, okay? And that is because my shoulders are tight. And that's because, a lot of us, the shoulders are tight. If we want to maintain a straight spine while lifting the arms up straight up to the sky, that's going to require a lot of this, the shoulder mobility. The armpits need to open like that. So if I have to do it that way, when I raise my arms up, my rib cage has to draw down and up like so. Then my spine is, or back rather, is straight. My spine is not straight, back is straight. But then for me, it's very different from here. I'm used to this shape already because I'm so used to doing handstand, so this feels normal for me. But if you're so used to doing this, okay, if I suddenly ask you to do this, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I am hollowing. And that's exactly what you're doing basically. But then you're just eliminating your ribs. You don't want your rib cage to pop to help you, or you don't want to use your upper back, the thoracic spine and the rib cage to help you to move the shoulders. So putting back into that warrior one context, it's gonna feel a lot odd. So again, not talking about the toes and all that stuff. Here we go, warrior one. It's really a hard shape to do. So if the teacher tells me to raise my arms up, here you go. That feels good. But then you see my arch, right? If I don't arch, I need to have my pelvis moving a little bit, but most of the thing that I need to do is my ribs need to hug in. So my ribs need to pull in. So this is like an open book. I have to close the book. And then I reach my arms up. The more I sit low, the higher I reach my arms up, the more I have to feel my rib cage coming in towards my spine, like that. And that will be a straighter spine comparing to that. This feels a lot better because the chest is a little bit more open. I feel that, there's more openness, there's more lift in my body. This very subtle movement requires a lot of practice, a lot of effort, a lot of muscle memory. So really, for me, when I do Warrior One, I just want to feel solid in my lower body. And when I lift my arms up, I never cue about having a straight back unless I'm working towards a handstand. If it's a general practice, I would cue the arms lifting the entire body up to the sky, and you feel that lifting element, not so much about specific physical cues. Again, if it's a general class. Not everyone have that awareness or have that mobility or have that strength to work on it. And if you're so strict or so hung onto those physical details, you might actually feel very frustrated in your practice. You might feel that you're never there. So again, it really depends on, when you're practicing, how are you practicing? What's your approach? What do you want to get out of the practice, right? And as a teacher, I will also feel like if I'm teaching a class, I need to know what is the intention. right? If my intention is to teach them to do a handstand, then I would be like, yeah, pay attention to those ribs, don't pop them out. But then if it's a general class, how important is this? Yeah, it's a bit important. You do want people to be more aware of the body, but what's the purpose of having a straight back with the arms up? That, I don't know. So yeah, not meaning to diss any lineages or anything at all. I respect all lineages of yoga. Yeah, but I always like to question why. So that's it. Hope it's helpful. If you want to know more how to, make those shoulders more open, practice with me. IG DM me or Facebook DM me, and I'll get back to you ASAP. Like this video, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.